Hello, seniors. This is Mrs. Denny, and we are getting ready to launch into our next unit. So I have this PowerPoint to kind of get you introduced to it. The next novel that we're going to be reading is Lord of the Flies. Today we're going to look at some information you will need to know as we get started. Lord of the Flies was published in 1954. First, the title is a rather odd one, but there is some relevant meaning behind it. Beelzebub is a Hebrew word that means Lucifer, or the devil, or Satan. We have some representations of him here at the bottom of this tile. However, the literal translation of Beelzebub into English is Lord of the Flies. So the title of the book is a reference to Satan, or possibly just evil, which will become significant as the book progresses. William Golding is the author of Lord of the Flies. He was born in Britain in 1911. He became a teacher in 1935, and his experience of educating unruly boys served as an inspiration for writing Lord of the Flies. So, beware of how you treat your teachers, especially the ones who might someday write a book. He was in the Royal Navy during World War II, and he received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1983. William Golding passed away 10 years after that, in 1993. As a child, Golding had witnessed World War I, which was referred to as the war to end all wars. However, 22 years later, Britain was again involved in another war to end all wars, which caused more devastation than was imaginable. Of course, that is World War II. After the horrors of the concentration camps became known, people were asking, why would a human being do something like this to another human being? Though, through Lord of the Flies, Golding is making the statement that we cannot escape our savage, violent tendencies. And without social order, we devolve into a state of chaos. Now, by social order, I mean laws and cultural expectations. For instance, we like to drive our cars, but we have laws to govern how we go about doing that. We have speed limits, traffic lights, and when you're leaving a big athletic event and two lines are merging into one, our culture says that it is polite to let one car from one line go, and then a car from the other line, and so on. But if there were suddenly no laws and no one to tell us how to drive, if we were suddenly left to drive however we wanted, Golding suggests that very soon there would be chaos. We would each go after what we thought was best for us, no matter what that meant to anybody else. Some important images as we get into the book. First of all, the beast, the imaginary evil that is projected onto the island by the boys' paranoia. The boys sometimes call it the beastie. The second image is the Lord of the Flies itself, which is a pig's head on a stick that becomes the physical acceptance of evil on the island. The boys just, all right, there's an evil here, and the pig's head on a stick becomes like this offering, which just sort of symbolizes that they have accepted this evil. Now let's get into a bit of the character analysis of some of your main characters you're going to run into. First of all, there's Ralph. He is described as fair-haired and having broad shoulders like a boxer's. He's committed to civilization and morality. He's the one to kind of organize the boys and set up some to hunt for food, some to build shelters, and some to get a fire lit so that they could be rescued. Translation, Ralph is a good guy. Second character who becomes important, Piggy. Piggy is described as fat, intellectual, asthmatic, and he needs glasses. As you can imagine, Piggy has been picked on most of his life. Piggy represents scientific, rational side of civilization and social order. It is absolutely unfathomable to him why the boys don't just follow after Ralph's ideas. Ralph has good ideas, and Piggy just doesn't get why they don't want to do it. Jack is described as having red hair. He wears black with a snake clasp. He's ugly. He's the leader of the choir. Jack is cruel and manipulative. He hungers for power, and because of how he plays out in this book, he sort of represents our savage instincts played out. Golding would say that each one of us has sort of this lust for power and to destroy, and that Jack sort of symbolizes that. Of course, Jack is evil. And then you have Roger, who, if Jack is evil, Roger is pure evil. He is silent. He's sadistic. Excuse me. He targets the little ones, of course, which are the younger boys. And he is the only one on the island to premeditate murder. When Roger kills, he kills without conscience. Roger is pure evil. Next we have Sam and Eric, the twins. They're described as barely having enough skin to cover both, and they finish each other's sentences. They are the very last to remain loyal to Ralph, the very last of the boys. And they sort of represent the tug of war within us to remain good. We've got this evil side of us that wants to do bad, but then there's still some part of us that says, no, we need to be good, and we need to fight for the things that are good, but we're not sure what to do with that. Then finally, we have a group of boys just called the Little Uns. These are the younger kids on the island. There are a whole bunch of them, and they just sort of lump them together, and nobody's ever really given a name. They represent the common folk who easily follow the lead of others into savagery when there's no enforced structure in society. Golding maintains that if we don't have laws, if we don't have enforcers of the laws, if we don't have that structure that society gives us, that most of us would just sort of follow whoever is in command. Kind of like a bunch of sheep. Anyway, these are some of the characters that you're going to meet, and just kind of setting you up a little bit for them. We'll, of course, get back into them. As the course goes on, if you need to come back to this PowerPoint and refresh your memory a little bit, you are welcome to do so. I'll have the link on the site. All right, thank you.